Okay, so in this video we're going to be replacing the throttle grips. Okay, now there are two methods to do this, and I'm going to show both methods. One of them is to actually remove the grip intact so you don't damage it, so in case you want to, for example, change the handlebar end or actually change the handlebar setup and then reuse the grips. But I don't know whether you can see, but these are very worn, so I don't need to save these, so I don't really care what them. They're split down here at the end and they're just generally old and worn. So your new grips, you need to check that the internal sizes are correct. Now there are two different diameters on these. One is 22mm and one is 25mm. So the smaller one is going to go on the left hand side and the clutch side, and the other one is going to go on the throttle side. And the reason it's a larger diameter is to go over the throttle sleeve. Now if you buy originals, you can actually get the whole construction, including the throttle, where the throttle cable houses in here. You can get the whole thing, or you can get just the grips. So the tools I'm going to be using mainly are two very thin screwdrivers. This is to help me get underneath the actual grip, and some WD-40. That's so I can actually do this and slide them off and hopefully not damage anything, especially on this side, because I don't want to cut in it with a knife, which is the other option of doing it. The other side is just a solid bar, so on the left hand side it's a solid bar, so you shouldn't have a problem if you want to cut into that. But on this one, as I say, you've got this plastic throttle housing, so I don't want to do anything to damage that, so I'm going to try and take this off intact. So the first thing I need to do is take off the bar ends on each side. In my case, they're just it's a number 2. Let's have a look. Is it passage? No, they're number 2 Phillips, but yours might be an Allen bolt key, so you need to make sure you got the right size Allen bolt, or whatever method you need to get the bar ends out. So I'm going to take both the bar ends out, and then we'll have a look at removing the actual grip. Okay, so I've got the bar ends off, and as I say, I'm going to be using WD-40, so I've put a cloth in here to stop it all dripping over the fairings and the bodywork and such like. So what we're going to look at first of all is how far we can peel back the original grip. So you can see the plastic sleeve here of where the throttle control is. So what I want to do is to take the screwdriver and go in there and in between, and you can see how it's lifting it off, and then using the WD-40 in the tube, I just give it a quick squirt up there, and then try and sort of work it around so that the WD-40 can get all the way around. And at the same time, I'm trying to move the screwdriver in a little bit further. You can see it's going in, and then I'll do the same thing again, just lift it, get the tube in, and spray the WD-40 in, and again try and make it all the way around. Now I'm assuming in the same way it locked in here, it's going to lock in here at this end. So if I pull it out here, yes, you can see that it sort of forms into the throttle grip control. So I need to pull that out all the way around. Remember, I'm trying to be careful in case I actually want to use this particular grip again. So just carefully pulling it out all the way around. Okay, and that's out. So I've got the screwdriver in, let's work it around again. And what I'm hoping is that it should basically start to slide. Now I can get them at the back here. We're practically almost all the way there anyway. So I need to keep forcing the grip this way. Okay, I can feel it starting to come now. So it's like, so if I carry on doing that now, and off it comes. So there's the grip intact if you want to reuse it, and it looks like, you see, there's some sort of splines in the control here. So what I need to do now is to make sure that I thoroughly clean this, get all of the WD-40 off, and then get the next one ready to go on. This it's already sort of slightly broken, but it's still there, so I'm going to have to think about whether I want the grip to go over that and be on the inside, or whether I might actually just take this off and glue the grip into place onto this throttle housing. So I'm going to clean all of this up and then make a decision about what I'm going to do with that next. So the old grip's off, it's all cleaned up. I used isopropyl alcohol to give it all a clean wipe, so that's dry now, there's no residue left of the WD-40. I've also trimmed down this little lip here that the old grip located on to make it easier to put this on, but left a slight ridge to help it in locating this one. Now this particular grip, it's got these MotoGP motifs on it. Well, I'm going to be trying to fit the grip in one straight push without twisting. I don't know whether that's going to be possible, so what I've done is, what I need to do is I need to make sure that it's going to start going on in the position I want it, so that when it's on, the logos are where I want to see them and not upside down. So when I'm happy with that, because I don't want to get anything else on there, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and use alcohol to wet it and try and give it some lubrication, and because it's alcohol, hopefully by the time I've got it pushed on and in position, when that dries out, the grip will actually then grip onto the splines and not slide around anymore. So that's the plan. I've got screwdrivers still here just in case they can help me to get it on. So I've got all the tools I need, and let's see what we can do. So get everything wet. I've worked out what position I want it to go on. So get it started, and let's see if we can push it on while it's still wet. Okay, so it is going. Okay, nearly there. So what I think is happening here now, it's this edge trying to go over that little bit that I left, and I haven't left myself enough to actually hit, because we've obviously got the bar end here now. So pushing, that's it, and then you can see now, hopefully, just check the video, you can see that it's actually reached the end now. There is obviously a little bit of spacing here at the end where it doesn't go, it's not going to go over to that. So I've got to decide whether I think that's too ugly and I want to do something about it, or whether I'm actually going to leave that, or I might even remove the grip again, being as we know how to remove it now without damaging it, and actually take off all of this up to that point there to allow it to slide further up. So I'm going to leave it like that for now and see how I feel. Obviously let the alcohol dry off so that it grips properly, but even on full throttle now that doesn't seem to be slipping. So that seems as though that's on okay now. Again, I might think about how I'm going to tidy all of this up. In the meantime, what I'll do is I'll move the camera over to the other side and then actually show how to cut the actual grip off. I don't like the sound of this method at all, but if it's an old grip and you don't need it and we're only going onto the actual bar, there's nothing really over there to damage. But again, I wouldn't recommend it on this side, on the throttle side, because of this throttle housing. So unfortunately, when I came to edit the video and put the video together, the section where I showed me removing the handlebar grip from the clutch side, the video was corrupted, and I'd already fitted the new one or cut off the old one. So what I've done here, I'm just going to rig up a demonstration. This is actually the intact throttle grip that I took off in the first part of the video, and all I've done is basically just put it onto a broom handle just to show you exactly what it is you need to do. Now all you need to remember is that on the bike itself, on the left hand side, it's just a bar, you know, it's just a steel bar, whereas on the right hand side, if you remember, it had that plastic sleeve for the throttle. So on this side it's just a metal bar. Obviously in this case it's a wooden pole, but on the bike it'll just be a metal bar that the handlebar grip slides onto, and you'll see that in the next part of the video where I actually do fit the handlebar grip. So I'm going to show you basically how to remove this. This is the easy way. This is basically cutting it and you won't be able to use the grip again, you know. So if you're replacing handlebars, then use the first method of removal with the screwdrivers and the WD-40. But if you're just going to replace the grips and throw these away, and the simple way is, all you do is you just take a knife, very carefully is start to cut down and then slide it down the grip. Now what I would say is that when you get to this point, try and rip it apart, and then that way you aren't actually going to cut into the bar at all, just in case there's anything about the bar you need to be concerned about. But if there isn't, then you can just rip down the cut that you've made, and once you got to this point it will just come off the bar, and that's it. Okay, so it didn't activate the glue when I put alcohol in it, so I've had to scrape off all the old glue. I've put the new glue on, and it's ready to go. It's quite tacky at the moment. So what I need to do is to make sure that when I slide this grip on, because of the logos and motifs, that it's going to go on in exactly the right position. So I worked that position out, and what I did was I put a small dot on the inside, and that's to make sure that that dot lines up where this switch is here, this line on the switch, that it lines up with this end of the dot. Now obviously we will be able to twist this as we put it on, but then I'll be able to just turn it around to make sure that that dot is lined up with that, so I know that the grip is in the right place, and then we'll leave it to settle. So this is obviously the smaller diameter grip, so I'm hoping that with the glue on there, because it's still wet, so I'm going to turn it on, push it on at the same time. I think this is more difficult than the other one was. Push the bike off its paddock stand. So this is close to the position I want it in, so I'm just trying to push it on here. It is going slowly. You can see there it's all the way on up to the switch, and I just want to make sure that this back end is on, so it's just flush. Now I can check that the dot, okay, it wants to just come around a little bit. Let's check that dot. Okay, so that's where I want it to be. That's all the way on, and now we just need to leave that to let the adhesive go off, and that's the passenger side, or the clutch side handle grip fitted.